Okay, so this is going to be a quick video. I'm just going to try to show in a few times in a row how I recommend people go about fast scrolling for some of these menus for the first time. Um, and I don't know why I have, oh, I was showing this because I wanted to also say that the save state patcher is a very useful tool to use, and collecting your save states or downloading them from here from speedrun.com is definitely something I recommend doing if you want to get serious about pushing your times down and practicing splits. By all means, though, you could just have your own save states or download these and load them in and practice a split, and you don't need to patch it, but it's definitely useful. Um, so first thing I'm going to show is Sylph Rival, and I'm going to just mute my mic and just go through it a few times and then explain a little about what it is that I'm doing. I'm going to unmute at this point because we basically saw every sequence that could happen from this Pidgeot, and I reacted fairly well to it, I guess, like okay enough. So the first thing we do is we buffer slot 2. That, if you're watching this, you should probably understand that's just holding down an A and then keeping down held and applying another button. Could be right, could be left, could be B, could be start, could be select actually. Select is totally fine. I use that a lot, but didn't use it here because it's an odd button to use. The next thing I do is I react to what Pidgeot does next. So if Pidgeot attacks me, as the HP bar goes down, I hold down an A. So as the HP bar goes down, I hold down an A, and I will buffer right into items, unless, like in the last thing you just saw, he crit me, so I need to release down an A, press B, and then hold down an A to buffer into items, not using an XP here. Let me get out of this. If he uses a status move like Sand Attack, I clear the text box with B. Whether it fails or whether it hits, I clear it with B, and then immediately hold down an A to fast scroll down. And I'll show this one more time, because my cue for how I get to X speed quickly is that Super Potion will exit the screen. This is what I use for most of my fast scrolls. A lot of people use the item that's 2 above, like they see SS ticket and they time A. I prefer the item 3 above. I prefer seeing Super Potion leave the screen and that being my cue for pressing A. By all means, pause for just a brief moment to make sure you're on the right item. If you're on X Special, you're on HMO2, just carefully toggle to X speed and use it. It's going to be a lot faster than the alternative of going through and, okay, let's say you do know how to buffer slot 2, so you go ahead, you buffer that, you clear it with some good timing, and let's say this is what you normally do, and then you kind of toggle over. That's a lot slower. That's going to lose a bit of time, so that's just something to be aware of. Sylph Elixir, I do the same thing. I see Paralyze Heal, exit the screen, and I use the Elixir. Let's see, Snorlax menu. I have a little bit of a trick for Snorlax menu. So what most people will do here at the top level is just press A into items since you're on items already. That's important to remember. Just as a base, try to avoid doing this. I mean, of course, don't do that. But if you're not too confident with a triple input to repel here, then this is the strategy I recommend. So what I do is I bike over to the left, and then I press down and start at the same time. So I press down and start at the same time. This will open your menu with down applied, but remain on items. Then you press A into items, and you can fast scroll to slot 4. It is slower than triple inputting, but it is very easy to perform, and I'll show it here a couple times. You also need to just become familiar with the timing to grab Paralyze Heal just below it and swap it down. I use a similar strategy where I see something pop up on screen, and that's my cue to slow down and swap with Rare Candy. In this case, I look for the X's with X Special and X Speed. I ideally want X Special to exit the screen and to quickly swap with Rare Candy. Alright, there's a good example. I briefly paused because I stopped at a space early, and I went down and still got off a pretty quick, good enough menu that I would be happy with that in a run. That I'm not happy with. I totally messed up there. But if you give it a little bit of practice, it's not too hard to do this pretty quickly. There we go, that's better. So that's my tip for that one. My next tip for Earthquake menu, I really like this strategy. So same thing, I don't bother with the triple input. I did just fast scroll to slot 4. So this is a skill that you can apply to both menus. If you're good with fast scrolling to slot 4, you just apply it. And this time, you have to be familiar with toggling down to swap potions without actually toggling, but just holding down all the way through this menu. The other thing I look for is HMO1 sticking out like a sore thumb as I swap down. So what I do is I fast scroll here, grab potion, HMO1 sticks out so much, it just feels like the freest YOLO scroll there could be in this menu. This is my favorite menu by far. I like how it just aligns this way. Yeah, it just aligns so nicely. I think it's pretty easy if you use that strategy. As for landing on TM26, I just it just happens. I don't know. It's down 6. I don't know if that helps anybody, but it's down 6. So I think down 4, and then I just kind of go a little further. You can honestly just scroll down to cancel. I think that if you did the menu like this and went down to cancel and then just toggle up 1, that's a good menu. That's not a bad menu. That's 1410 pace menuing for sure. Oh wow, I guess I could touch upon the fact that practice cutting these trees. There's nothing more to it than that. Just practice cutting these trees. You are probably not, I don't mean to say you in particular, but people in general are losing time cutting these trees. So these trees, practice that. Safari Zone, practice your movement there. Practice opening this menu quickly before the audio track will start. It's impossible to do. It's impossible to do from the save state, but you can practice it if you start in the house. Getting on bike before audio track loads. I would say if 150 is your goal, use your repel over here. That's my opinion. It's not that important, but I would say don't bother going for the turn frame save. I don't think it's worth it. I generally do go for it unless I'm nervous about it, but it's just, it depends what your target time is. If you're going for 145, probably save the turn frame, makes sense. I use the same cue over here. Paralyze Heal will exit screen, and that's my cue for, you should actually make a save state without red bar for this. But yeah, Paralyze Heal. Oh, it's not Paralyze Heal anymore. It's Rare Candy now, but what Paralyze Heal used to be is now Rare Candy, so I let that exit screen and use my elixir. But it makes sense in my head. But yeah, make a save state with that. With just use go ahead and, like, I would say go to Safari Zone and just use a super potion here or something. and then speed ahead and get to Koga without red bar to practice this if you don't have a non-red bar Koga state, because the timings will be a little different. But that's all I had. I feel like I'm a YouTuber reaching the 10-minute mark here. But I hope this is helpful for the Koga split for some people. All right.